Welcome to the Catching Up with Casey show. If you are tired of chasing buy-in, frustrated with teams who can't seem to get on the same page, or over the constant struggle of holding people accountable without micromanaging, this is the show for you. I'm Casey Watts, speaker, author, and the creator of the Clarity Cycle Framework. I help leaders just like you take teams from frustration to alignment so teams can work collectively toward a common purpose in a committed way instead of against each other as though they are functioning in different organizations. And we do it all through the craft of clarity. Whether you lead from the middle or you are the front-facing leader of your organization, on this show, we bring clarity to the seemingly small things in leadership that make the biggest difference, because clarity precedes capacity. Now, with all of that said, let's dive into today's episode. Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode. I am pumped that you guys have joined us to listen into this episode. It is all about how to master team building by hiring smarter than yourself. You heard me right. Hire smarter than yourself, which I believe as we get into this conversation today with Kevin Stewart, we're going to notice that there's a little more complexity to that than meets the eye. So I'm super pumped about this conversation. So Kevin, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Great to be with you. I'm on with the one and only Casey Watt.
That's right.
That's
right. So tell us a little bit about who you are and the work that you do.
So I serve as the Vice President of Innovative School Summits. We are the organization itself, as I like to call it, the mothership itself is AccuTrain. And we deal strictly with K through 12 schools, a lot of staff development training. So we offer on-site trainings. We do everything from cloud training, so they can go on board with our system that we have. We also have started what is called AccuEd courses, which is very similar to the master classes. If you're familiar with master classes, we have that, what we call AccuEd for educators. So we have some of the top names in education that are a part of that people can get. We also do our summits, which I oversee. And our summits, we hold those in 5 to 6 different locations throughout the country every year. So we're in New York, Orlando, Las Vegas, Nashville, San Antonio, and looking that hopefully in 2027 we'll be in a new city. So be on the lookout for that. So I get to have a lot of fun. Get to meet a lot of great people like yourself. That's how we connected. And that's awesome. That is in short what I do.
Yeah. So because now that we're on the topic, tell everybody about the next summit. Like, it's coming up.
It is. So our next summit, and just so all the listeners, if they haven't been to a summit, they'll understand a little bit. We will have between 4 to 6 different conferences, especially during this time of the year, during the winter time, going into the spring, we'll have between 4 to 6 conferences that take place in the same location under the same roof that is under the summit head. And people can sign up for one of those conferences, but it is also free flowing. So if they sign up for an Innovative Teaching Strategies Conference, we'll have plenary sessions that are our general sessions for everybody. And then we have keynote sessions and breakout sessions. And so if there's a breakout session within another, let's say the at-risk students conference, if there's a breakout session under that they think, wow, that would really benefit me to go to, they don't have to stick strictly to their conference. They can go to whatever breakout session that they choose, as long as there's room. And some of them fill up really fast. So, but we have that for them. So we're kicking off in New York this year. We'll be in New York from February 25th through the 28th. Then I was telling you, we'll have basically one week in between that, and then we'll be in Orlando. So,
Whew.
Yeah.
Busy. Yeah.
It is.
But a fantastic conference. And I can say that, having been not only a presenter, but also just a participant. It's been truly one of my favorite conferences to go to. I think I went to the Innovative School Summit in San Antonio in December.
Mhm.
And I think one of the things that I loved so much about this summit was there were intentional, I'm sure you guys made this intentional. I have no doubt about it. But intentional breaks in between that were a little bit longer than what you usually experience. And so here's what was so cool about that is even after my session, like I noticed people just kind of remained seated or they migrated out into the hallway where there's plenty of places to sit, and
Mhm.
they networked and they talked and they continued to brainstorm. And that's such a spectacular thing about conferences when they can provide that, because sometimes it's just go, 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 go,
Yeah.
go, and you're moving from one thing to another, and so there's no time to really think about how do I apply the concepts that I just learned about. And so that's something I definitely appreciated. Plus the people. Listen, I felt like even as a participant, I was a superstar because there was always someone around a corner or like right at the beginning of a room before you walked in that was ready to welcome you. And I just felt like they care about the people that are here. And even meeting with you, I know that you care about the people that show up.
Yeah.
So kudos to you guys for putting on a conference like that.
Thanks for your kind words. And truly that it is. I have long talks with our staff that it's about the people.
Yeah.
That is truly our goal. And so thanks for sharing that. It's just helping confirm that we're coming. We're not where we want to be, but we're getting there. And part of our goal is that every single person uh, that walks through the doors of our summit feels valued as an individual. We
Mm-hmm.
want every person that walks through to feel like, hey, I'm the most important person there, and we mean that sincerely.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so and the breaks we take those intentionally because we want people to network. We also want people to be able to go by, visit exhibit hall and things like that. Have not feel like they've got to rush off, and so it works out well.
Yeah. Which I feel like really leads well into what we're talking about tonight, because we're talking about this idea of how to master team building by hiring smarter than yourself. You have, in the role that you have right now, you have probably lots of different groups of teams. Like you have a team of teams that
Mhm.
work with you. I want to know, when you think about this topic, like mastering team building by hiring smarter than yourself, what made you think about this topic when you agreed to come on this podcast?
Wow. For me, it's probably the easy thing to say because most everybody that I hire is smarter than I am in a lot of ways. So that wasn't a hard topic to figure out. Um, but I think so often. In fact, I was talking with my wife today, and I thought about this. How often do we get upset when somebody fails?
Mm.
And think about that for a minute. So I'm going to ask you a question. When let's say your first job, where was your first job? You
My
remember?
my first job, or like my
Uh-huh.
first job in education?
No, either one. We'll go either way. Let's say
Let's
education. Your first job in
Okay.
education.
First job in education, I taught fourth grade math and science.
Fourth grade math and science. Do you remember what your first failure was?
Not just my first failure. I remember my first 20 failures, but yes, I remember
And
several.
do
I
you
can count them.
do you remember how those in leadership responded to you?
Yes.
Was it positive or negative?
It depends on the situation and who I was dealing with, but I had one positive experience that I remember. The other experiences were relatively negative, if I'm being quite honest.
And so I ask those questions because my thought is we so often treat failure like it's the ultimate, oh, I can't believe you did that. That's the worst thing that ever happened. How cool is it when we begin as leaders, and not just in my position, but across the board, when we allow failure to happen without making the person feel like they're a failure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So good.
if we can allow someone to fail, and maybe that's just because it's something I've learned. I've been gracious. I've been the recipient of people who did that in my life, allowed me to fail without making me feel like a failure.
Yeah.
And so I hope that as hiring people, as we're talking about this subject, that's one of my goals is that, listen, if I can allow people to fail at what they're doing and learn from that fail without feeling like they're a failure, they'll get better at what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're becoming more of a multiplier in that situation. And
Yeah.
so if you're able to allow them to fail and they're learning through that failure and they're growing in that, chances are they're going to be able to reciprocate that just like you reciprocated it or have reciprocated it in with your teams. It reminds me, it's so, I don't know why my brain goes to this, and this gets kind of personal, but not really. But I think about my husband and I talk about our dads and growing up. And, he has the story of he mowed the yard one day without being asked. And his dad got home and he said, "Oh, you mowed the yard. Thank you. You did a good job. There's just this one area over here that you missed, or, you need to think about doing this differently." I have the same experience where I was at a piano recital. My dad would show up and listen, and he'd be like, yeah, you did good. There was just this one part that I think if you really practiced, and for whatever reason, that negative, what we felt was negative. Now, it was not their intent, I'm sure, but that's how we received it. That's how we felt it, was just this negative thing that we held on to. And I think it's the same as my experiences where I experienced failure as a first year teacher. That's what stood out in my brain. And so it made it really hard to feel okay about failure moving forward. Yeah.
And it is true. It's funny you say that, because I'm just reminded of the times that I've done that. Even as a dad, I've done that as a leader. I kind of had the same. I came home one day, and my oldest son was back when he was probably in, I guess at that time, in middle school. And I come home, and he is outside on his own. No one had asked him to do it. He just realized that the front porch was really dirty. And so he's out there cleaning the front porch. I mean, just doing it on his own accord, and no one asked him to do it. And I walked up and I was like, what are you doing? Just caught me off surprise. But I did what you said. I caught myself thinking, well, you missed over there. Why didn't you get that spot? Thankfully, I didn't say it at that moment, but I've done it. So it's not like I have not done that in the past, but I caught myself in that moment thinking that, well, you missed that over there. But I'm glad I didn't say it at that moment, just because of what you're saying, that, man, I tried to, I was trying.
Yeah. I can't do anything right.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So when you're thinking about your teams, though, have you noticed times where someone made a mistake and you recognize that it made them really uncomfortable, and how did you address that?
Absolutely. I think for me, addressing that is simply, so in hiring people that are better than you, and I think just in leadership across the board, we have to be able to announce when someone gets a win, announce in public when someone gets a win, and talk in private when someone fails. And allow them to say, hey, my first question isn't why did you do what you did? My first question is, what did you learn from that?
Yeah.
Here's what you did, and it's not the end of the world. We're not gonna, we're not losing face. We're not whatever. But the main question is, what did you learn from it? How can you get better from it? How can we get better from it?
Yeah.
That's my go-to question.
Yeah. That's great.
In all those situations.
I listened to a podcast. I think it was the Andy Stanley podcast, if anybody's familiar with Andy Stanley. But this was just last week, I think. And he was with, I think his guest was Charles Duhigg. And one of the things they were talking about this specific situation where someone's messed up or they failed. How do you address that? And one of the things Andy Stanley said was, I first get curious because and then I ask them the question, like, tell me about this decision that you made and what made you think about doing this, because we may not always know, like, from their perspective it could have been completely reasonable what they were doing.
Yeah.
And so asking the questions first, I thought, man, I think sometimes we jump to assumptions too quickly without asking the questions. I want to ask you a little bit about, because it's titled Hiring People That Are Smarter Than Yourself. When you are looking at hiring people, what shows you, like this is a two-part question. First of all, what shows you that this is a person who's smarter than me and I want to access their intelligence? Like, what are you looking for?
I'm always looking for, so normally when I'm hiring or when anybody's hiring, they're hiring for a specific position. And so if you understand and know your position that you're hiring for, is the person, number one, what I'm looking for, are they passionate about what I'm hiring them for? If they're passionate about that particular area, then more than likely they're really going to be really smart, intelligent in that area. They've studied on it. You can ask a few simple questions, just kind of leading questions. Tell me why you're interested in this specific position. What have you learned? In any of those leading questions in regard to what you're hiring for, and it's going to tell you whether they know what they're getting into or not. Sometimes you also have to know what their strengths are. So a great question that I always want to know is tell me about yourself. What are your strengths in life? What do you see yourself doing really well? For me, I have to be real honest. Great leaders are not the smartest people in the room. And that is across the board. And so for me, I am not the most organized person. My staff will tell you, I'm not. I like to dream. I like to vision. I like to put things on paper, but sometimes the organization of it, I need help.
Yeah.
And so in some of the positions I have, like Tanya, you've probably received some emails from Tanya. Tanya, I could not do what I do without Tanya. Tanya keeps me organized in every sense of the word. She'll be like, hey, did you send out this email? Do I need to send out this email? Absolutely. And run things. And so understanding their strengths, that there are things that they're really good at. She's incredibly talented, gifted at organization, keeping track of everything, where I could say, hey, yeah, I probably missed that one. So, and that's part of it. Realizing I, as a leader, if I don't know my weaknesses, I'll fail at being a leader.
Yeah. Which leads me to my next question, actually, because I imagine that there are some people who are intimidated by the idea of hiring people smarter than themselves. Where do you feel like that intimidation comes from?
That intimidation most of the time comes from pride.
Yeah.
Pride of feeling like I've got to be the best at everything.
Yeah.
I don't know if you play sports when you were younger?
Ish.
Or did you take music lessons?
Yes.
So it kind of falls in the same realm. You have people who are incredible teachers that do a great job, will allow you to make mistakes, will allow you to, and they teach you, they work with you. But then you have others, you have coaches, maybe you're familiar with this, that thought they were the world's greatest gift to mankind, and they played every position the best that it has ever been played, and have an excuse for why they didn't make it past high school in any of the sports that they played. But they're
Yeah.
the best at everything that they played, and far better than anybody else on the team.
Hmm.
And then you have people who are mentors that realize, you know what, I just love the game. Wasn't the best at all of it, but I understand the greatness of it. It it I wish I knew his entire story. Something that I'm going to dig into. I'm not at all a Seattle Seahawks fan. They just won the Super Bowl, but their coach is crazily interesting to me, because my understanding, and someone can check me if I'm wrong, my understanding is he did not play. He started playing football in high school, got hurt, and didn't play past the 11th grade, but had a passion for coaching. And
Wow.
his head coach recognized that within him and started allowing him to coach. And as a result of that, began when he went to college, started coaching, went through, I think he went through Jim Harbaugh's academy of coaching, and that whole process of that. So he never even played football past maybe 2 years in high school, but he's been coaching in what he was passionate about. Someone
Hmm.
recognized that within him, and now look where he's at. They just won the Super Bowl.
I love that story.
Yeah, it is so
Yeah.
interesting to me,
Yeah.
that it just took someone to be able to say, hey, and within himself to recognize his weaknesses. Well, I got hurt. I probably won't ever play, but man, I'm passionate about the game. I'm passionate about what I do, and maybe
Yeah.
I can help somebody else if I take time to learn.
Hmm.
Um,
I think that's an interesting point, and I feel like I have an episode about this where I talk about the two different perspectives, especially in thinking about schools. Like we have teachers who have their perspective, we have leaders who have their perspective, and you hear so often, I think leaders kind of get into this kind of like an imposter syndrome, just especially if they didn't teach at the level that they are a leader of, or
mhm.
or they were only in a classroom for 5 years or whatever. I feel like it is so important for us to recognize that even when you may have staff members who say, well, they don't even remember what it was like to be in the classroom, or they were not, I've been in the classroom for way longer than they ever were, whatever the case may be. I think it's so
Mhm.
important for us to recognize that while that could be true sometimes, it is also imperative for us to have these two different lenses through which to look at our organization so that we can work together to move the organization forward. Those two
Absolutely.
lenses are absolutely necessary. We can't thrive off of one or the other. It has to be both. And so I love that story because I think it gives even me stepping outside, because now I am consulting and speaking and writing. So I'm
Hmm.
not in schools every single day, but the beauty is that I have a passion for this and I have certain strengths and I'm able to teach and coach in a way that allows me to help people implement things in their own schools. So, love that story.
This it. I I hope it's all right if I throw a name out there, and I'm not just throwing it to throw it, but I've thought about this several times. Ron Clark, when he started Ron Clark Academy, regardless of what you think or anything else, when he started Ron Clark Academy, he didn't just go out and do it on his own. He called Kim Bearden and said, hey, Kim, I need you to help me start this. And he's
Hmm.
like, will you move up here and do it with me? Nope, I'm not moving. So what does he do? He moves down to where she is, starts a academy. Why? Because he recognized someone and their talents, their giftings, and said, hey, she's better at certain things than I'm better at. Let's come together and build something incredible. And now listen, the teachers he have are just as equally as good at teaching and gifted in the areas. Why? Because they hire at such a high level of people and aren't not afraid to get someone in there that's just as good or better than they are.
Yes.
And that wow, can you think of just the how schools could be transformed, um, and I'll take it to education since we both deal with the education side, school just, and even businesses in themselves, how much they could be transformed if we would be willing just to say, you know what, if someone is better than me, it's all right. Um,
Yes.
I'm trying to think what I read a quote, um, and it was Harry Truman. That's who it was. Harry Truman said, "It is amazing what you can accomplish if you do not care who gets the credit."
Ooh, say that one more time. That's so good.
It is amazing what you can accomplish if you do not care who gets the credit.
Yep. So good.
And yeah, that is, we have to be able to put our own egos aside to say, listen,
Yeah.
it's not about me, it's about all of us.
Yeah.
And if we can all get better because someone else is better than me, man, let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
Every
Yeah.
day of the week, let's do it.
I would imagine, Kevin, that you are one of those leaders who, like, I'm just picturing you in a meeting with your staff and everybody's sitting around the room. And I imagine, tell me if this is wrong, or maybe just let me believe this, okay? But I imagine this almost round table or oval table, and you're just kind of sitting back and you are listening to all of these people around you. Like maybe you set a vision, but then you're just listening to what people are saying. And you then maybe you're asking people to run with an idea that they have, or giving them a little bit
Mm-hmm.
of feedback and then telling them to run with it. Is that an accurate
Absolutely,
picture?
absolutely.
Yeah.
So you came to San Antonio,
Hmm.
and if people come to, well, we'll probably do something similar in Orlando, probably. But in San Antonio, you got a card on your seat on the last day, a happy holiday card with just some wording on the back, had a little Hershey kiss in there, that was in the spot. That was all Liz Freeman and Lauren Bassett. I had,
Hmm.
because we were sitting in it. That's exactly what happened. We sat in a meeting. I said, hey, how can we make it better? How can we do something that says, you know what, just in a small way to say thank you for coming and being a part. That was my
Yep.
words. And then they started dreaming, and Liz was like, hey, what if we did this? And Lauren was like, oh, we could add this to it. And I'm like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah.
And giving them permission to dream, and then cheering their dream on. If
Hmm.
if there's something, sometimes you have to be able to say, well, what if we did it this way? It may not work exactly like that, but what if we did it this way? And then they start dreaming some more, and make it happen. So that card, that was just me saying, hey, what can we do better? That was all them.
And
Uh,
hey, it makes your life easier as the leader as well.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, it does.
Yeah. But for
Um,
whatever reason, I feel like it takes like a mindset. You really have to get into the mindset of I'm hiring people. Well, number one, I should be hiring people that are smarter than me. But if I've hired appropriately, then I should be able to let them explore and
mm,
take risks and live out their working geniuses. By the way, listener, you've heard me talk about Working Genius before. I do not work for them. This is not a paid ad or anything, but I suggest you take Working Genius assessment yourself and then have your leadership team take Working Genius assessment. And that way
100% agree.
you absolutely should be tapping into the geniuses of others, but then also recognizing like where am I confined to my not weaknesses, but just frustrations, areas that are frustrating for me. But yeah, so but if you're hiring with that in mind, then you should be making your job a little easier and actually a lot more enjoyable.
Yes. So going to the person of the Working Genius, Patrick Lencioni, he said this: if you could get all the people in an organization rowing in the same direction, you could dominate any industry, any market, against any competition at any time.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
that's it. I mean, you're
Hmm.
getting everybody on your team working together, and understanding, knowing it is. I 100% agree with you. I've done the Working Genius. Actually, it's so funny because when I did it, I heard him talking about it. I thought I need to take that. So I took it and saw mine, that looking at mine, and so my wife at that time, there are some things that I was thinking, you know what, she just does, before I took it, like, she just does that to aggravate me. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
she was probably saying the same thing about me. He just does some of those things just to aggravate me, you know. And I started thinking, and so I called her. I said, "Hey, I'm going to send you a link, and I want you to take this test." And so she said, "Okay, I'll do it." So we took it, and when I got the results from it and realized her differences and my differences, I'm thinking, no, she's not trying to aggravate me. This is just who she is.
Yeah.
This is her genius. She's working within her genius, and I was working within mine, and somehow we got to meld that together and figure out how do we become a better team.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, I 100% with you, man. If you're out
So,
there,
yeah, I'm curious, do you remember your two working geniuses? Putting
my
you on the spot.
two, yeah, you are putting me on the spot. I am I gather all the people. What do you call that? I can't even
Oh,
think.
you are a galvanizer.
Galvanizer.
Yeah.
Yes, a galvanizer is my number one. Is a
Okay.
galvanizer, and what was my second one? I'm not a wonder.
Okay.
Like
What about, is
one
it like ideation, or is it invention?
invention, yes,
Okay. Yeah. So invention
but
is one of
like,
mine, and
mhm.
then wonder is one of mine.
See, wonder I drives me crazy. Like how do you do that? Let's just
Just
gather the crowd, pump them up, get them going, and keep. But we need you wanderers. We need you people because you ask the questions.
yeah.
That's it, Casey. That's why you ask the questions, because you're a wanderer.
Yep. That's exactly right.
That is so true.
Yeah.
Sorry, we
Which
just
is
got off
my,
on a tangent on
yeah.
this.
It's
People
okay.
watching this like,
Listen.
what are they talking about?
Hey, this is our advertisement for Do Working Genius, because if you know those things and you know what geniuses other people have, then oh my gosh, it makes your work so much better. I
Oh,
don't
it
have another
does.
word for it, just so much better. And what's interesting,
Yeah.
so my former colleague, who I am just hoping one day she's just a part of my team, she has the geniuses that I don't. And so we worked, it was like we were one person when we worked together. And I loved that because I knew, and she was able to say, this is not in your wheelhouse. You're going to have to turn this over to me. Or she was able
Mm.
to say, and I didn't take offense to it, she was able to push back on things. And that self awareness is so crucial, especially if you are thinking about, who do I want on my team? How am I going to hire smarter than myself? Know yourself well, and then know your
Yeah.
people well too. Yeah. Who I could go on about this, Kevin, but we're going to come to a close. What is it that I've not asked you, or something that you want to share before we get off this podcast episode? If you could leave people with one thing to remember.
If I could leave people with one thing to remember, I would say be real, be authentic, um, in your dealings with people, with everyday life. Let people see the real you. Stop
Mm-hmm.
feeling like you got to put on a show for somebody. Um, be authentic.
Yep,
You can you
that's
can
great.
change the world if you're authentic.
Yes, I love it. All right. Where can people find you? First of all, they need to go and check out Innovative School Summit.
Yep. Check
What
out
else?
Innovative School Summit, www.innovativeschoolsummits.com. Check out our Innovative Schools podcast, along with staying with the one, the only Casey Watt. What you? Sorry, I am on your podcast now. What? Tell me the name. This is a terrible way to end the show.
No, it's not. It's
The
it's
name of
so
your podcast.
it's the Catching Up with Casey show, like you're drinking a cup of coffee mood with me. Yeah.
That's it. So we're here. We're live. We're catching up.
Hey, just
They
a
can,
side
they
note,
can,
Kevin, because I think I was talking to someone on this podcast last week, and she couldn't remember the name of her own book. And so I was like, been there, because it took me forever to tell people, yeah, the title of my book is The Craft of Clarity, and I couldn't remember the subtitle. So sometimes I would make it up, but Yeah. Real. We're real. Authentic.
Real. That's right. We are real. They can find us on social media, on all the social media things, including TikTok, and YouTube, all that. You can email me at kevin@accutrain.com. So
nice. All right. Well, thank you for coming on the show. It was a blast having you here.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure. Look forward to seeing you again.
Yeah, we will catch you all in the next episode. Bye, everybody. Hey, listener, I am so honored that you listened to today's episode, and I hope you gained something valuable from it. I'd also be honored if you did me 3 solid favors. First, subscribe to this show. I've got a lot of great content coming up, and I don't want you to miss any of it. Second, be sure you're following me on social media platforms. You can find me at Catch Up with Casey on LinkedIn or Instagram. And finally, if you are looking to book a dynamic and relatable speaker for your next event, conference, or retreat, I would love to bring a message about how the craft of clarity makes a significant impact on both leadership and life. Until next time, always remember, clarity precedes capacity.